Hi, my name is Troy Hackla, and this is my wife, Gay Gilmore. We're from Optimism Brewing Company right here on Capitol Hill. Um, um, so Gay and I, we came from the tech industry, actually. Gay and I met at Microsoft, the evil empire, and we worked there for a couple years, and then we left and started our own company, and it was a website. This is back in 1999, and so it was all, originally we were going to build it all on Microsoft technology, thinking we can just do this. We love Microsoft and we can do this. Long story short, we went through all these machinations with hardware and Windows kind of didn't work for us, and we switched actually to Red Hat one day, and we just switched from there. And so the whole thing was built, we did it for 7 or 8 years. We built the whole thing on open source technologies, which is great, we love it. We sold the company, and I wanted to do my other passion in my life is making beer, so I wanted to start a brewery, and we did, and somehow got Gay to go along with me on that one as well. And so we're kind of a different brewery. One thing, we use a lot of open source software. Our website is all open source. It's all hosted at GitHub pages. It's just a single web page app. We have our own software we use to manage the brewery and all the inventory and the recipes and the beer production. It's all, again, hosted in the cloud on open source software. Do you want to talk about the employee?
Sure. I think one of the reasons that we were asked to come is not just because you're going to get to drink our wonderful beer in a minute. That is part of it. But the idea behind Optimism and our background in technology was one that we really wanted to share with you guys at OpenShift as well. We run our company very differently than the average craft brewery. Manufacturing businesses are still pretty old school. They do everything on paper, even. There are people who ask me how to use Excel. So not only do we have great software behind it that Troy has written, but we also really take that look from the bottom all the way to the top. So it's not just what's running on the machines to develop our recipes, but it's how we treat our people. We have no hierarchy at Optimism. Everyone is a brewery worker. Everyone has done everything. We clean our own bathrooms. The brewers are not just brewing the beer, but they're serving it behind the tap room. Even the marketers, the people in the laboratory, they've all done everything that you can do at Optimism because we feel like that's super important to getting great ideas, to getting process improvements, and for everyone to have respect for what everyone else does at the company. And it's been fantastic. We pay our workers really well, right? That's great because we're from Seattle. We do that sort of thing. We're really liberal out here. But we also have a tip-free establishment because we feel it's important that we as a business are responsible for our workers' wages and not just the whim of the customer. And that's changed the thinking inside our tasting room as well. People have a lot more respect for us and for our employees, and they're much more excited to have that identification with us as a company and are more interested, I think, in our beer as well. So I think all of those things are not just, it's not just a technology thing, but it's a way that we have taken our outlook from technology and brought it into a manufacturing business. Another thing that we do, because I have a real interest in usability studies, that's what I was doing, or really had an affinity for, we also bring people into our taste testing room and we ask them what they think of the beer. Now these are people who are just average people. We set 2 beers in front of them and say, what do you taste? Because ultimately we can only test so many things in our lab. We can figure out a lot, but we cannot tell how much grapefruit or citrus or pine flavor is in each batch. So we ask real people that, and we get their opinion. And it may mean that we change our recipe as a result of talking to customers, or it may mean that we need to reset our expectations in the way we talk about those beers. So anyway, I just want to mention a few of the things that we do inside our company that I think is a really great way of relating back to what you guys are doing and studying. And I think it's good proof that there is another life after tech, too. I don't know if beer is the right one for you, but it's been really great for us. Troy also wants to tell you a couple things about the beers that we're going to be tasting in the other room.
Before I get to that, another thing I think is really cool about that, what excited me about brewing for years since I was out of college, was this home brewing community, which is very much like the open source community. It's just I read these magazines and books, and it feels very much like I'm reading Linux Journal. And so it's just this really cool kind of, everybody gets together and shares everything, and the homebrew community is just exactly like that. So it's really fun. So if you ever want to try making beer, I encourage everybody to do it. It's not that difficult. It's just some learning, just like programming is not that difficult if you want to get into it. So, um, so I encourage everybody to brew beer and really learn about beer as well. It's really fun and exciting as well. So, so we have two beers here. One is called One, O-N-E. It's my favorite beer that we make. It's always been made to be my favorite beer. It's a classic English ale. It's got a lot of caramel toffee flavors. It's an ESB or an English pale, depending on how you look at it. The other beer is called Hello World, which you guys would understand. Most people don't get that when we mention it, but so it's called Hello World for two reasons. It's kind of an introduction to beer. It's a very light beer that most people who don't drink a lot of craft beer don't want to get all the hoppy flavors that they hear about or that they taste, or there's really strong high alcohol. So it's a very light, low alcohol beer. Kind of a simple beer, but it's also a Munich Helles. Helles is the German word for light, H-E-L-L-E-S. That kind of fits with Hello World. So, so that's it. I want to hope you guys enjoy the beers, and cheers.